Are you ready to nail your pitch, to attract the right investors and generate millions in seed funding? Perhaps you're in the preparation stages, you've started trying to put together a pitch, but maybe you're not quite sure where to start and how to go about it. Or maybe you're a bit further along in the process and you've actually started reaching out to investors, but the messaging just isn't quite landing, struggling to articulate that vision and really get everyone as excited about your startup as you are. If that's the case, you're in the right place. This is exactly what we work with founders on in the Pitch with Impact program. And today, I'm going to give you an insight into the 3-step strategy that we work with founders on to help them nail their pitch and go out there and close their seed round so they can take their business to that next level. So step 1 is about crafting a compelling story. Pitching is all about storytelling. It's not about your PowerPoint slides. So step 1 here is about crafting that story. So before we even go near PowerPoint, we start by clearly articulating the story of your business, by nailing down your key business messaging and shifting that focus from talking about a product to telling a story of an opportunity in a market. The reason why this is so important is that in order to attract investors, we need to build trust. We need to showcase an opportunity and we need to inspire confidence in the founding team. Now, most people, they start this process by just opening up PowerPoint and adding a bunch of bullet points and screenshots of their app, proudly showing off all the features that they've been working on. But this ends up leading to a disjointed presentation where you essentially have founders just providing a list of features and functionalities that they've been working on over the last couple of months. But this doesn't build trust. It definitely doesn't showcase an investable opportunity, and it doesn't inspire confidence in the founding team. So when we do this process, we start with just simply in a Word document, right? And we are nailing down, crafting that story and making sure that we are positioning this business as an investable opportunity and not just a product with a bunch of features. So step 2 is about building the pitch deck. Once we've got that story nailed down and perfectly articulated, then we go about actually putting together the deck and the slides. The reason why this is important is that we want the pitch deck to be a visual aid to the story and not the other way around. We're looking for something simple to understand, easily digestible, and engaging and inspiring. Most people struggle with this because they start by just pouring all the amazing ideas in their heads down into slides. And we end up with way too much information over way too many slides and often sort of paragraphs and paragraphs of text. Now, this just ends up leaving investors confused and founders frustrated as they just can't quite get their vision across and get people excited. Now, finally, we come to step 3. Which is all about networking with and building a roster of investors. So once we've crafted that story, we've perfectly articulated this investable opportunity. We've built that pitch deck, which is simple, concise, and powerful. Now we're ready to actually get out there and start building this roster of investors. Now this is just as much about getting investors for right now, for closing that seed round, as it is about building that roster for the future. This is super important because you're not just going to be raising once, right? You're going to be raising over the foreseeable future of your business. This is a huge part of being a founder and being a CEO. You're going to need to have investors that you can go back to time and time again over the years. Now, you may have heard of the phrase, investors invest in lines, not dots. Now, if you haven't heard of that, I'm going to tell you what that means. It essentially means that investors like to see progress, right? Let's say you come to somebody when you're in the middle of building your product, you haven't got any traction or any customers yet, and they like it, they like you, but maybe it's just not the right time. Then you come back to them in 3 to 6 months' time, and you've got your MVP sorted, you've got an initial customer base. Now they've got that relationship with you. They see that you're somebody, your team are people who can execute on their vision, on what they say they're going to do, right? This puts you in a much, much stronger position than someone who just comes in cold and expects $1 million, right? So it's about building that roster so that we have people to go back to time and time again. So we start looking at the outreach process. How do we find investors? Where do we find investors? And most importantly, how do we find the right investors? Because the last thing you want is to get in bed with the wrong investor. Perfect. So those are the 3 steps that we work with founders on in order to help them nail their pitch and go out there and raise their seed round. So to summarize, we have step 1, which is crafting that compelling story. Then we move on to step 2. We actually start building that pitch deck. And step 3 was about networking with and building that roster of investors for the future. So if you're a founder preparing for their seed round, starting to put together a pitch, or someone who's a bit further along, is already out there trying to get in front of investors, but just struggling to get the engagement that you need and you feel your startup deserves, if this all sounds like you, book a call using the link below. Really excited to meet you. On that call, we're going to run you through a series of questions in order to find out whether this program is the right fit for you and if we can really help based on your particular situation. If not, no worries, we'll refer you on elsewhere so you can get the help that you need. Either way, super excited to meet you. So book a call using the button below and I'll see you on the other side.